business, and how can you achieve one? I don't know, but I think we've got a guest who might be able to help us out with that one. Join us soon on Uplift. We've got Jessica Quigley joining myself and Neil Russell. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Welcome to Uplift, uplifting conversations that set your heart on fire. My name is Sarah Wade. I'm an art lover, a lover of life, a mother, and so much more. And I like taking people on quantum leaps using art. Now, we've got our usual co-host joining us from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. We've got 4 times best-selling author joining us, Mr. Neil Russell.
Welcome and thank you, Sarah. I'm excited too. It's been a couple of weeks since we actually had a guest on this show. This is so good. As Sarah said, my name is Neil Russell, 4 times best-selling author. I'm a lover of life, happily married to the same woman. So she tells me that I'm happily married. She tells me this all the time. Neil, you're happily married for 37 years. And maybe that's how I've stayed happily married, because I do as I'm told.
Speaking of doing what you're told, I don't know if this lady actually was always done what she's told. Joining us from Queensland, from Townsville in Queensland even, we've got Jessica Quigley, who does an amazing job at helping people break through generational traumas and actually help coaches and other empowered people to make some bank. Welcome, Jess.
Thank you so much, Sarah and Neil. It's an absolute honour and a pleasure to have you guys have me here today. I'm super excited to be here.
She says that for now. It might change in an hour. Are we supposed to be serious? Oh, yeah.
Just a little sometimes.
Oh.
I need to be serious. Jess has got a really interesting story. And before we get into that, I'm just curious if you guys know what quantum leaps are. Like, if you're a little bit nerdy like me, you know it's got something to do with atoms and energy and transferring. But when it comes to the coaching space, Jess, would you mind filling in people who aren't aware, like Neil and I, what that means?
Oh, wow. That's a big question. What it actually means to me is, I guess, stepping into the expanded version of yourself, but also tuning into your spirituality and a connection with a higher source. So it could be universe, God, creator, whatever it is that you believe, whatever you want to call it. And when you actually make the shift on a personal level, on an energetic level, and then by the supernatural level, that's when I think all of those magic components come together. And that, in my belief, is what quantum actually means. I've never actually explained the explanation of what it means. So.
Well, welcome to, we'll just put that in the dictionary then, yeah? Picture of you, definition, we'll go with it. This is
So
interesting.
now explain this what quantum entanglement theory is. No.
I got you, Neil. That's another episode. Jess's heart's just like skipping a few beats here right now.
Straight into the big questions. Whoa.
I mean, why not? Right? Yeah. I think it's really important because I think some of us can get stuck in this routine and in this like of life, you know, and then other people, you see them taking leaps and bounds and you're just like, how are they doing it? What's wrong with me? There's all sorts of judgments both ways that happens here. And I'm curious, Neil, how you've noticed the industry changing. So I know you've been a coach for many, many years now, a couple of decades. What would you say what would you say that you've noticed about this trend?
Some of the things that were buzzwords, and so the concepts that were so foreign, like generational healing. Like that was when I started, that was like, what are you talking about? That was so far out there. Nobody talked about it. Nobody did it. It was like, it was unproven. It was voodoo magic. It was crazy. And now Jess is here and she's doing, generational healing. And what's the power in generational healing, Jessica?
Oh my goodness. You get to heal your children. You get to heal your children's children, and you get to change the course of the rest of their life. You literally get to change their timelines. You get to help them access a higher frequency. You get to improve their mental health. And you get to help them tap into the potentiality of what is possible for them. It also affects the community, people that you're in close proximity with, people that are following you on all our social media platforms. You just change everything. You change everything by your energy, just changes everything as well. Of course, we know that.
I agree. And I'll add to that too. Not only are you benefiting your children, but you're also benefiting your parents and, that lineage as well. I know that I've had some troubles personally. I know my family have had some troubles personally. And I reckon my daughter will probably have some troubles too. And that's okay. That is just part of life. And if you can't relate, then I don't know, are you an alien or something? Like, thing is though, as we do this beautiful work, we do change, and our interactions with people improve in the best of ways, even if they're not doing the work, as people sort of say.
Absolutely. So you can bring out the best of people.
Yeah. So what have you noticed as your, you mentioned community before. What have you noticed about that, changing the lives of people that you're working with and how their communities change?
The people that I work with, like my clients, you just froze for a little bit there. Yeah. So they have been able to step out of their traditional jobs and actually scale and leverage their online businesses. They've also been able to come from a conscious place, of being a conscious being. They're actually thinking about their thoughts. They're actually questioning themselves. They're questioning the habits. They're questioning what they're allowing. They're actually having conscious access to what no longer serves them. They're making more money than what they ever have. Quite often they are, feeling lots of uncertainty and fear because they're pushing through that next level. So they're stepping out of their comfort zones, yeah, it's really important to be able to hold space for those people, because you can only get to a level, so far on your own, because your nervous system and the way that we're actually coded, it really doesn't allow for next level evolution. You actually have to be in a community supported to actually get to the next level that you want to get to.
I think a good example of that, as parents, you can go from being quite around your community to suddenly having a newborn and you get really isolated. And I think that's when you hear people talking about, you need a village to raise a child. The same can happen in both our business life and our personal life. And that's why these amazing people you can see on the screen here doing, all day, every day, we put our hearts and our souls into helping other people to help themselves. And Jess, I asked Neil before what he's noticing the trends that have changed. What about you? What trends have you noticed in the last couple of years?
I've noticed that people are, specifically in relation to business, people are doing things completely differently in business. People are really wanting to be more heart-centered, and they're wanting to build relationships, and they're basing their businesses around service and connection. But yeah, pretty much in terms of globally, well, that would be like a whole other podcast session. But I've noticed, obviously, people are isolated. I went to the airport for the first time in a very long time in September. I actually flew to a retreat. It was held in Byron Bay, and it was the first time that I'd actually been away from my children ever. I cried on the plane all the way to Byron Bay. It was like the kids were like, "Don't die, mummy, on the plane." It was like I had so much gratitude for my family as I was leaving them. I had a bit of a giggle about that as well. I'm like, oh, I have to leave them to gain access to these overwhelming feelings of gratitude. But at the airport, it shocked me that everyone was on their phones, like not just a couple of people, like everyone. I got such a shock because I hadn't been to the airport for many years, and people were not talking, like people were on their phones. And yeah, so I feel that there's people that are, they're really struggling. They're really much in a place of stress and anxiety, but they have the desire to create a different life. They have a very strong desire. A certain amount of people, that are coded the way that we are, that, really are light workers, empaths, earth angels, star seeds. There's so many names that you can call us, but there's this internal calling. We feel very guided, but they're not sure how to actually follow that internal guiding because they're so conditioned into the, the programming matrix. And so they're kind of like trying, but then they're stopping. And, so it's very hard for those people that are like us as well. They're trying to achieve, but they're just not able to access or actually gain momentum in the achievements that they want.
Yeah, I hear you. And I think a lot of us have witnessed that in people. And there's so many people asking for help and not sure who to trust in, because there are obviously a lot of people out there, more than just the three amazing humans on the screen right now. There's a lot of people out there helping people in different ways. Yeah. So Jess, who was the first person you chose? Like, was it a shaman? Was it what sort of person did you choose to help you to get away from, let's say, nursing into this space?
Yeah. So I chose a lady that I'd been following for quite a while. And she showed up very as herself, very raw and very vulnerably. She shared all things. She shared the fact that they were having $30,000 consistent months in their coaching business, but she was also sharing the things that were going on behind the scenes. So the days where she was, in tears, the challenges, the uncertainties. And so she was the first person that I reached out to when I made the decision that I was going to invest and that I was going to go all in, because I felt the most comfortable in reaching out to her. Now, I had followed some amazing global leaders and I've got them up on a huge pedestal, and I wouldn't have been able to reach out to them because I've got them stuck up on the pedestal. It would have been too uncomfortable for me to actually reach out to those people that are already in the multi-seven-figure bracket. But this coach particularly, I really could relate to her, and it wasn't too much of a nervous system shock for me to reach out to her and say, hey, I need some help here. What have you got to offer? Yeah, so she, it was a very connected, heart-centered connection. And so I got started with that team of coaches straight away. I literally quit my nursing job 2 weeks later, never gone back and done another shift since.
Wow, 2 weeks. Yeah, that must have been huge, very powerful. Yeah.
It was massive. It was massive. And when I signed up to work with that team of coaches, I didn't have the money. I have so many people that reach out and go, but you have the money to invest. We didn't have the money. We didn't. We went on a weekly payment plan option. And I knew that if I actually didn't get results in my business, well, we would have to eat baked beans and eggs, and we'd just have to really, really, scrimp. And
hey, what's wrong with baked beans? No,
they're pretty yummy, right? Yeah. So, it was a big jump in terms of nervous system. I was very uncomfortable, but for me, it was like, okay, well, if I don't take the next lot of action that I need to take, this thing ain't going to happen. This ship is going to sink.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people can relate in that, when you're stuck in that next level, you go to surpass it and then something happens and you're just like, oh, shit, maybe I shouldn't have done it. So did you have that oh, shit moment in those first 2 weeks? Sorry, Neil, I swore.
Oh, yeah. The whole way, the whole journey, the whole 21 months has been like, Amazing, amazing, amazing. Holy shit, holy shit. Oh my God, oh my God. It literally has just been like this roller coaster. But yeah, the first 2 weeks, because I signed on with the team of coaches and the plan was to build my business. And then when I build up enough coaching clients, I would then, gradually like reduce shifts, leave nursing. But it was just like, I mean, like absolutely all in. So I just went like in one foul swoop. But for me, I made $100,000 in 3 months of signing on with that team of coaches. I had more success than what I'd ever had. I signed on more clients than what I'd ever had. And I was the most stressed out than I'd ever been in my whole life. My nervous system was actually rejecting all the things that I was receiving. I literally put my neck out in a major, major way. 1 week, I had to turn up to all my sessions with a heat pack on my neck. I had to go to the chiropractor 3 times that week. I couldn't drive. My husband had to drive me. And I spent a night on our shed floor counting our possessions, that if all of this got switched off, if supply got switched off, if I was just a one-hit wonder, if it was just a fluke, if all of it ran dry, what could we actually sell from our shed to keep us going? It was like absolutely next level. I was having more success and I was the most stressed out I'd ever been.
Yeah. And the interesting part is whatever level that you're at and whatever is the next level, and it can be in any skill, trade, talent that you're trying to build in life, to get to the next level is always a stretch and is always a heart palpitation. Oh my God, fill in all the bad words.
Yeah.
And many people forget, but then there's a level after that, and you're going to redo the whole thing all over again. Because whatever level ceiling you're at, when you bust through that, there's another one. And you have to learn to find the skills and talents to keep going and not beat yourself up. Find the love within yourself, to love yourself, to go, I am worth it, or my family is worth it. My dream, my hopes, my aspirations for my community are worth all of the shit that I'm going through.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, one of the most powerful things that I did during that time was to help collapse the fear. I just kept reminding myself that I'm going to die. And so when I left nursing, I was like, oh my God, I'm leaving nursing. Holy heck, 22 years of comfort zone, certainty. I know that I can do that job. It's, I can get paid well for it. It's, it's guaranteed financial, security for the family. And so every time that those fears came up, I was just like, but I'm going to be dead one day. So I'm fretting over leaving a career, but I'm actually going to die. Like I'm literally going to be buried in the earth. I'm going to have worms like infiltrate my body and I'm not going to be here. I literally am not going to be here. And so that really helped me collapse the fear that I had. And I use that. And this is, what I teach to my clients as well. Really come back to we are beings and we all have expiry dates. And so when you're wanting to step into your next level, when you're wanting to say yes to something, but you're absolutely scared, you're petrified, remind yourself that we're all going to die. And then it's just like, boom, it's like, okay, rightio. I'm going to like launch a rocket up my backside and okay, it's time for me to get moving now.
It's like a bit of a slap in the face with a wet fish, that one, isn't it? You're going to die. It's a good shot. But yeah. Are you doing what you want to do? And I think, if you haven't experienced one of those moments where you're questioning, am I doing what I really want to do? I wonder when you will and who will be there to support you for it.
Yeah.
Hey, Neil, I know that you've been recently interviewing a lot of amazing people about success. So I'm curious to hear your take on what you've heard so far.
Every person's individual version of success has common themes and it has common threads, and it is whatever value that they put on to whatever it is. They put value to something, and it is whatever that value is, and it's the incremental 1% improvement over time and continually moving to success in that value is how they define success. If they want to be the best mother, well, when they look back from 6 months ago, what did it look like? Are they better? Are they able to better handle the stress? If I wanted to be a better driver, what is the incremental progress? So it's been an interesting journey. It's been fun to interview 45 people on their version. And it's interesting that most of us start at some level with societal norms of what success looks like. We're going to get married, we're going to travel the world, we're going to go to university, we're going to do societal things, and at some point in time we rebel. And it's where we rebel, it's how we rebel that our growth and our journey in life is there. And whether we're taking generational steps to heal ourselves, whether we're hiring a coach, whether we're throwing a backpack on our back and saying screw it and touring touring Australia for a period of time to go and find healing in themselves.
Yeah, I would agree. And Jess, yourself, would you agree with that statement?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. For me, my motto when I decided to heal myself was nothing is more important than that I feel good. And that actually defines success to me. It is actually about feeling good. My life was so out of alignment in every single area. I looked at that 15 years ago and I was like, okay, my health is in the toilet. I had an autoimmune disease of over a decade. I was an alcoholic. I had chronic fatigue. I had all of these problems, right? My job was not in alignment with me at a soul level, at a heart level. And so I was like, okay, everything is out of alignment. Okay, well, my work is actually to bring each part of myself and my life back into alignment. And nothing is more important than that I feel good, because when we have things in our life that are in alignment with our soul, with our heart, with our higher purpose, life starts to feel really good. You vibrate higher. You get into this like flow state within inside of yourself. And then you tap into the quantum, and then you actually literally get to manifest. People show up in your inbox and say, hey, can I work with you? Or they're referred on, or you have a launch and, you make $60,000 from that launch. It's just that, that really is a huge part of it.
Yeah. And I can imagine that. Go, Neil.
It's fun because we're using words, and Sarah good-naturedly teased me that I was my decades of experience, because when I started, the words that you were using were all new words, and we were trying to find definitions. And because these words they're part of today's societal nomenclature, it's like in my work environment, it's not uncommon to hear coworkers say, oh, you wouldn't do that because you love me too much. And 20 years ago, because it was very much a patriarchal system, 40 years ago, it was very much patriarchal. You wouldn't use those words. And it's been fun to see the difference, a very masculine personal growth, very masculine, in your face. You got to beat it. You got to get over it, to the more softer, feminine, maybe not, divine feminine approach to things, which are just as powerful and both intended to get to the heart. But I suspect none of you have dug your own grave and laid down in it and have people throw dirt all over you.
No, are you suggesting that you have?
Yes.
I love that.
And have people in your group try to emulate what your family would say.
I can relate, sort of. About a year before my dad passed away, he had cancer, and it was a long haul for him. And he had a "I'm not dead yet" party. And we all flew from all parts of the world and the country to celebrate the fact that he wasn't dead yet, and he got to hear all these amazing things, just like you did, before they passed. And I think, relating to how Jess was saying before about, I'm going to die, it's really important, that legacy that we're leaving. If you feel out of alignment, I don't know about you, but I've done something about my misalignment. And I'm curious to you, the viewer, where you're at in your journey. We'd love to know whether you're watching this live or in replay. Give us a comment, and we'd love to help you to progress on your journey and to celebrate where you are today, because that's really important, where you are today.
So for you to get where you were back then, what was the hardest part of your journey, Jess? What was you think the hardest part for you that you put the most resistance up and you fought it tooth and nail to keep that part of you?
It's all been hard. It's the whole thing. It's been incredibly difficult. But for me personally, my desire to be well, my desire to, heal myself from an autoimmune disease, my desire, I had suicidal ideation from the age of 14 to, 30. So my desire to change my whole programming to the way that I related to myself and others, my desire to create a beautiful life, that feels good and feels aligned and always working towards more alignment. I've still got a ton of work to do around, alignment, because once you get, like you shared before, Neil, once you get to the alignment, it's like, okay, that's the next level is just here. But yeah, it's all been incredibly difficult. I guess, one of the biggest feats was healing myself from an autoimmune disease. Doctors told me for over a decade, you'll never be unwell. You'll be chronically unwell for the rest of your life, and you will continuously decline as the years go on. And, I was hospitalized every 6 weeks. I was on medications, the list of your arm. They all had horrendous side effects. I didn't even look like myself. I was on prednisolone, which blows up your face. You have sunken eyes. You literally retain fluid. Terrible for your body. It actually, a side effect is depression. And that was just one of the medications that I was on long term. I was also on antidepressants, so like immunosuppressants, everything. And then I drank heavily as well. So it wasn't helping myself either. But, I drank heavily to, suppress the own inner pain and turmoil that, that I felt from, all the things that happened growing up. So yeah, I guess that journey was incredibly difficult, but I guess it's become a lot easier in terms of figuring out where I want to go. And then actually, once I step into that, it's sort of like relief. It's like, once I actually make that decision, even though it's still tricky and there can be days that can be like, oh my God, I said yes to this. I want to give that contract back. Like, seriously, this is next level, but it's really just, making that decision there then becomes sort of a breath of fresh air. And I spent 10 years trying to heal myself from my autoimmune disease. I spent 10 years trying to find the answer outside of myself until I actually knew that I actually held the answer within. And I decided that I was going to heal myself from my autoimmune disease because I had it up to here. And I actually didn't think that I was going to live past 50. I actually thought, if I'm not actually institutionalized in a mental institution, I'm actually, I'll be exiting. So it got to that tipping point where it got so, I couldn't see any other future for me. And so I'd been through so much pain that then I decided, I was like, to hell with this, I'm going to choose healing. And I had no idea how I was going to heal myself, like zero. We've just lost Neil. I'd already spent 10 years trying to figure out how to actually heal myself. But then when I actually made the decision, I actually internally decided that actually I was going to do it myself. That's when everything started to change. It didn't happen like that, though. That was then a whole journey as well. But I started to actually live into the potentiality of my healing.
And it's a huge shift, isn't it? Like, I can relate to your story too. I have very similar background in that respect, that I was in a great space either. And like you, I was told I was going to suffer for all of my life, and basically things weren't going to change for the better.
Yeah.
But I know that both of us know a lot of people who have said, well, I do not accept that answer. No. And gone within and thought, okay, I can do this. And that really is that belief in self that makes a huge difference, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. You've got to make these decisions about, yourself and what you want for yourself. And really it's, when you decide, It's not like, I decide that. It's like, okay, that's it. Line in the sand. Like, I am not tolerating this for a moment longer. Like, I am not going to live my life this way. It's like a decision that, like, it's like there's a fire around it. It's like, it's linked in with so much passion and purpose. And it's just like, okay, I've got one life. I decide, and we don't need to know the how. Actually making that decision actually helps you start to tap into quantum, because the universe will then actually start to bring you the how. It might be a book. It might be go and talk to this lady, go and listen to this podcast. And then, you trail on from that, but while we're stuck in, oh, it's terrible, my life is crap. I had that list of things. Every time someone would talk to me when I was unwell and living in all of those things, I had my list of all the traumatic things that happened to me in my life. And I carried that list around with me every single day. And any opportunity that I got to share that list, I was like, yes, I get to share my traumas. I get to share all of the shitty things that have happened to me. And I have been through more than what anyone on planet Earth has ever been through. And I also used my pain and my trauma to connect with people as well, because I'm a connector, 100% connector. And I've built my whole coaching business is based on connection. I realized that I craved connection, and actually that was the driving force in actually the results that I've had, is because I wanted to connect with people on such a deep level that I do that all day, every day. It's all about connection. It's all about starting my programs, and we get to go straight into those next level deep conversations. In the schoolyard, I was a girl that would walk around. I felt alone. I didn't have friends because it was all surface level stuff, and I just wanted to feel connected to people. So, that was a really big driving force for me. Really powerful.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's interesting because, we've probably all got those friends that you look back on and you might not have spent much time with of late. You sort of look at their life and think nothing's really much changed for them. And I know that, I was one of those people before where my friends have sort of increased their vision of perspective, things that could and did and would happen for them. And I was like, but me, poor, sad sort of stories were going on. Fear of success would get in the way. Like, what a crappy concept too, by the way, fear of success. Whoever invented that. However, it's really advantageous of us. And I think Neil touched on it before, to look back on your own life and you think, where have actually I progressed? Because sometimes we can't see that progression in ourselves. And it's really interesting too, as a coach, we've all seen our clients progress and they're like, oh, no, actually, you're listing off all those things. You end up with this rucksack of wowness and then, actually that's true. However, it's really that internal change. I remember being really depressed just coming out of psych ward and, broken leg, all sorts of things from, an attempt that didn't work out right. And one of the major things that really worked for me is a friend in hospital said, write down all the things that you love about yourself. And I had a toilet just with this one sign. I couldn't think of anything more than one. And then over time, my tiny little list, like it was literally a Post-it note, just grew and grew and grew, and then ended up with like A3 pages all over my toilet. So I'd be there on crutches every time I went to the toilet, and that's a few times a day. I would get these positive messages about myself. And I actually encourage my clients to do that too. Not so much the thing beforehand, because, we don't want to do the suicidal attempt. You don't need to have that post-traumatic stress to get to that growth, but having those visuals, and it could be in written form or it could be, I don't know, like a sparkler that you see and you're like, yeah, that sparkler reminds me of the spark that I've got in me. We can have these little internal systems set up for ourselves that really benefit us. Yeah, and it's beautiful.
Oh, yeah, can so resonate with that. I really rewired my whole brain, my whole thought processes. I trained my mind to actually pick out the things that I love, the things that I'm grateful for, and so really rewired everything. And it's taken a lot of work. Like, I've literally been a personal development junkie, since I was 21. I did my first personal development course called the Landmark Forum. And that was eye-opening, but I found that I learned a lot, but I didn't embody a lot. I actually embodied a lot during the program, but then when the program ended, my embodiment stopped and I felt that I actually slipped back into old ways. So I see that there is a lot of people too that learn a lot of this. They read the books, but they're just not sure exactly how to actually get the actual internal embodiment, because we have to embody it in order to actually get the shifts. But yeah, it's something that you've got to work at consistently, continuously, always be working on changing those thoughts, and it's a holistic, it's like mind, body, and soul. It's your physical health, it's your thoughts, it's your spirit, it's your spirituality. Like, it's not just one thing. It's there's lots and lots of legs of the journey.
Yeah. And it's not just tattooing it on your arm, like the notes, like, oh yeah, that's how I embody it. Like that's just not going to work. We really have to come to the realization ourselves, like interpret the language of others and help it to fit us. There might be a word or a paragraph, that really sticks out at us, or that doesn't. And, we can just change it ever so slightly, so it really does align with us. We've spoken about alignment a few times now. Neil, have you ever felt out of alignment?
Many, many days, and it can last moments, seconds, nanoseconds, and it can last much longer. And for me, it's when I recognize it, it's easier for me to get back into alignment when I come from the piece of gratitude and celebration.
Yep.
When I'm grateful for the learning opportunity, and I am grateful for all of the good things around and in my life, and I celebrate. Because if I do not do both of them, I can be grateful, and it's like, yeah, okay, I've got a great toothbrush, and I'm grateful that I've got running water and toothpaste and a toothbrush. But if I don't celebrate it, it doesn't really register in my brain. So if it doesn't register in my brain, I can make a global assumption that it may not resonate in other people's brains. So if I think that if celebration works for me, then I think celebration could work for our viewers and our listeners, those hearing on a replay, because we truly need to celebrate. Like, look how well we encourage younger babies, younger children. At some point in time, we either stop encouraging them, oh yeah, you did whatever, great. And whether it's puberty sets in or whatever, we stop being the biggest cheerleader for other people. And at the same time, we stop being our own cheerleader. And I think we need to go back to it.
Yep.
And studies have actually shown, when you do celebrate and when you do practice gratitude, you actually lengthen your life by about on average a year. Whether you're male or female, you will actually live longer. And also the benefit is that you will remember more of your life. If you don't practice these things, you might just end up with one of those, did I brush my teeth moments? Or did I send the grandkids that birthday card? It's okay to celebrate yourself. And it's actually one thing that I love doing with people who forget that about themselves, is asking them to write a permission slip. Like, have you guys actually written a permission slip to yourself? Whether you're watching this live and replay, and I'm going to ask the guests this, have you written yourself a permission slip? And if so, what did it say?
More cookies. Oh, no.
I can imagine that, Neil.
Yeah.
For me, it was really important to have that permission slip, because yes, other people sort of said you can do it, but I had that fear internally. And once I actually wrote that permission slip and I physically saw it, like, I can undo this. I had that chest out, puffed up kind of moment. So Jess, have you actually written yourself a permission slip?
I think I energetically write them to myself all the time when I get afraid. I'm just like, but no, I haven't actually sat down to do it. But, I am consciously working on that part of myself, and asking myself, well, am I actually allowing myself to actually do the thing, step into that next level that I want to do? Like, am I giving myself permission to actually, really go into this area? I just realized, a few months ago that I've been playing really small, that, my dreams, I've actually, I've shrunk them back down again. And so I need to go like 10x again. I need to be thinking bigger vision. And I started to bring some of that back together yesterday, visualizing myself, flying around the world, speaking on stages, writing the books. Like, I've always wanted to be like a Louise Hay or a Wayne Dyer, even though I'm not a male, but, they have been my greatest loves, and what I realized in the shower this morning is that, that the world is going to need us to actually, as the generations are coming through, those of us that have these teachings from our time, the world really needs us to really, go global. I was told by my first team of coaches that if we want to become household known names, we have the potentiality of actually creating that for ourselves in this lifetime. And, sometimes those visions shrink down. And so I need to actually get my butcher paper out again and stick it on my wall. I just haven't had a chance to get to Officeworks, but the butcher paper is coming out. And I really want to, concrete in that next level vision, because as soon as you actually have that, in your space and you're thinking about it, you're writing about it, you're journaling about it, you're talking about it, you get to then start to call in the people that are going to help you along the way. It's all starts to, and if I start to really think about that now and energetically embody it, in 10 years, that's going to have some credible power and momentum behind it. These things take time, but we've got to be, successful people, and whatever it is that success means to everyone, you've got to be actually you've got to be thinking about those things. Like if you have goals and you've got them written down, but you don't know what they are, or you only think about them like once a week, or it's not going to happen. Like you have to be obsessed. You've got to be obsessed with what it is that you want to achieve. It has to be an obsession. You've got to be thinking it, embodying it, living it, breathing it. And then, of course, there'll be the times where you're just like, I do not think that I can achieve that. At the start of last year, when I made the $100,000 in less than 3 months, I was like working like crazy hours. I was doing like 7 sessions a day and then going into 4 overnight. And my coach said, you need to create on a huge piece of paper the dream week that you want to have. And so I did that. I created on a huge piece of butcher paper, stuck it on my wall, my dream week. And I sat there and looked at it every day. And I was like, bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. This is going to take years. That'll be 5 years away before I can create that. I hate that, coach. I hate that it's not going to happen. 6 months later, it happened. And I didn't even realize it. I was sitting there one day and I'm like, holy shit, I'm actually nearly close to that. And actually a lady that signed up on a Monday afternoon, and I said yes to her actually signing up on a Monday afternoon, even though I'd made my rules that I didn't work Mondays. She ended up saying, actually, Mondays don't suit me. I'm going to do our session on Wednesday. And I was like, universe provides.
Nice.
Piggybacking on what you're saying is like, we all have mentors, visionaries, and nature abhors a vacuum. Like we all know who Tony Robbins is. He's getting older.
Yeah.
The universe wants somebody to cycle in behind him and cycle in behind the person that's taking the place of. There's always the continuation. We all look back and go back 10 years. What musician was our favorite? Where are they? They're on a different radio station now. The top, 20, whatever. They're on a different radio station being played, or they're now playing in a lounge somewhere because they can't fill auditoriums. So you have to be shooting for the moon. Like I knew, not personally, but Tony Robbins, when I started personal growth, was really nothing. He was still trying to develop. Now he is the biggest one. I've had the privilege of meeting Wayne Dyer, one of a P1 alumni or mentors. Eric Mortimer brought him into Calgary.
Beautiful.
Amazing. And they're just human beings. They are just human beings.
Yep.
Amazing, but they are just human beings.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think so many of us can put celebrities up on a pedestal, but yeah, like Jess said, they are human beings, and you, my friend, are too. You can achieve so much. What's stopping you?
Yeah.
And by the way, congratulations for where you are right here, right now.
Yeah. One of my favorite teachers or mentors always says, if you want to find out how enlightened someone is, kick them in the shins. And especially when they don't know it's coming, because many of these people that we think are so enlightened, for some of it, it's a stage presence.
Yeah.
And that's what is terrible. And that's what my particular mentor was telling me not to do is put them on a pedestal, because you don't, on stage they're performing, they're doing their best to be this persona, but you don't know who they are.
And that sort of sinks in with social media too, I think. So many social media, whether you're using it like we are for business, or you just want to share your life with others, like Dear Diary style, we are sharing parts of us that is usually the best version. You don't see too many people like, you do see Jess and I doing it. This is me working from my kid's cot today because that's just how it is. You don't see behind the scenes of, what it took. Like you might see a picture of a couple on a bridge looking like they've had a lovely time, but you don't know that 5 minutes ago in the restaurant, they had this massive argument, but they don't share that. And it's the same with so much that you see from coaches and other amazing people in their fields. Jess, what's one thing that you would say to somebody who is struggling, that maybe coming into the platform, they want to do something as a coach? Maybe I want to do coaching, but I'm not perfect. What would you say to them?
If you have a desire, like if you feel like with every fiber of your being that you want to help people, go for it. I literally started coaching while I was breastfeeding. I literally had baby on the boob and I had a toddler at home. Spirit helped me create my first signature program. And we had these conversations. I remember it was the day after I gave birth to my last child. And Spirit was like, okay, what's the next project? And I was like, are you kidding me? I've just given birth, like settle down. And so Spirit helped me create my first program. And we got it together. And then Spirit was like, okay, we're ready now. It's time to sign on some clients. And I'm like, get real. I'm waiting till the kids go to school. Like, are you serious? How professional am I going to be? I've got 2 kids at home. Spirit was like, we don't care. Your program is going to change lives. There are women out there that are literally waiting for you. You need to get moving. You need to get grooving. And also you need to start off by being in training as well. Because when I started off coaching, I was in training as well. I was changing lives, but I was also building the skills that I had. I was also building a relationship to the offering that I had, and so, I just get started, and don't wait until it's the right time. It's never going to be the right time. Don't ever wait until you feel ready. You won't feel ready. I haven't felt ready for any of the things that I've done, but I've just done them because it's been full of purpose and passion and desire to help others. That is my life's work. And all day, every day, I'm thinking about ways that I can help my clients more, help my family more, be a better person. It's not about the how, it's about the who. It's about who are we being? What are our thoughts? Where's our energy? Where's our emotional intelligence at? What about our stored negative trauma from the past? I haven't healed all my stored negative trauma from the past, and that's okay. This is what I teach my clients too. We're not perfect. I have moments of imperfection, tons of them, and it's totally okay. I'm sure Tony Robbins has a lot of moments of imperfection as well, and it's not about that. It's coming back to our intrinsic drivers. What drives us? What lights us up? What is going to switch on? Like, I am so on mission all day, every day. I have to give myself permission actually to turn off the mission, because sometimes it's like it can get a little bit, next level. But it's about finding what your mission is and then living your life totally, into that mission. And you can just start anywhere. I started by giving $30 spiritual emailed readings over a decade ago. I was too afraid to talk to anyone. And I started that by actually showing up every single week and giving 3 hours of my time. I used to do free interactive readings. And that's how I showed up. I gave and I did what I love. And then I had some people that were like, hey, can we actually order a personalized reading from you? I'm like, holy shit, get out of town. What? People want to actually, and they're like, yeah. And I just started off with $30. And I'm like, how cool is this? And then my confidence grew up over time. Then I could actually do a reading like this. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is next level. And then the program came through, and then people started to sign up, and I was like, oh my goodness, I've actually got people signing up for this. So, make the best of what you got, but get started. Like, we can always take an action step towards our goals and our dreams and our mission. It may be a little action step, obviously for me to write books and travel around the world, I'm not up to that action step yet, internally or externally, but I'm going to definitely be working towards that and putting it out there.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so important. to do that too. And if you're in a place right now where you're wanting to have somebody to support you, like I mentioned before, there are three pretty amazing people on the screen, and we all offer different things. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, and we'll catch up soon again too. And what a conversation. I agree. So conversations like this, do you have them with your friends? Is it because you want to, or because maybe there's no people to communicate with, or what's going on for you? Let us know in the comments, see how we can serve you. Now, Jess, I know that you've got a retreat coming up next year. I was thinking about jumping on a plane. The Magnetic Island. That sounds pretty awesome. I haven't been there since I was early in my teens, enjoying myself. It was a wonderful place. And I love that, you know, I think you mentioned, I don't know if it was in a post or somewhere else, that a couple of years ago, how this isn't going to happen. This is like a somebody else thing, or, you know, way down the line kind of thing. What else have you got happening at the moment apart from this wonderful retreat that you've got coming up?
Well, every single month, or not every month, I take December out, but most months I run a 4-day free masterclass series. And it's titled Your Money Blueprint. And in the first 2 days, we go through the energetics of wealth creation. And I help all of our participants to become stewards of wealth. And then in the second 2 days, I do teach my organic lead generation strategies that I use in my coaching business every single month to manifest absolutely amazing results between $60,000 and $100,000 months in business. This is suitable for network marketers, coaches, consultants, healers, but it's also available for anyone that wants to heal their relationship with money, that wants to actually grow internally. It's a healing of relationship with money, but it's also a healing of self as well. So everyone is welcome to join. I usually have a couple of hundred women register. It's high energy, high impact. I give that week my all. I always get so incredibly excited about it. So,
but what if my money beliefs need open heart surgery?
We'll give that to you. We will give that to you. I tell you what, it's full immersion. There is like Zoom, there's links for Zoom, like it's full immersion. We actually get our participants to have actually breakthrough moments all through the masterclass. It's like you have to go and do stuff. There's inner work tasks. It's like next level.
Yeah, it's someone who attended, I can't remember when last year, but yeah, I would have to agree. I loved what you put through in your platform. So thank you for sharing your gifts and helping other people to share theirs. It's so important. Yeah. And Neil, I know that you're working on another retreat yourself.
Yes, but I'm not announcing the dates. We've got one coming up. And yeah, but we're being very tight-lipped on the dates for now. It's like, don't want to let the cat out of the bag. And yeah, and right here, I'm full transparency. I'm in the midst of leaving a 9-to-5 that I have enjoyed for 40 years, and I'm going from a place of wonderment of who can I be when I grow up. And what do I want to be when I grow up? And because I've had so many modalities that I have coached through, and it's what hat do I want to wear right now that really excites me and really just lights me up. And so it's like right now it's all about writing. But when the world is open to everything, I don't know where I'm going to land.
Yeah.
Exciting times. Yeah, and it's interesting too, because like one of the things that I realized, I had COVID a couple of months ago, and it absolutely rocked me. And I had this moment of, am I doing what I really love to do? And it's so pivotal to have those moments. And, post-traumatic growth and things like that can really spur you on in one way or another. You can go, or you can go, it's not a linear thing. Like it's a bit of a hodgepodge kind of effect. But hey, over time, it does go up. And it's a beautiful thing. What I've decided to do when working with people now is I'm just going to do a full 2-day full-on breakthrough. It doesn't matter if they're for personal or for businesses. That huge real breakthrough. And I'm talking about a bunch of different modalities that help us to get to know each other, and also, more importantly, you to get to know yourself. Because often I think, as Jess mentioned before, our values change, and if we don't feel in alignment, that often leads people feeling, am I not good enough? So, we got to strip back all those sorts of things in those 2 days. And it really helps you to get those quantum leaps and to go in that direction that you want to go in. Like that person you are now, not the person you were 10 years ago, or not the one that your parents wanted you to do, or not the one that your coworker thinks you should do. And you're like, no, thank you. Do what serves you and your family and love yourself for it. Because it's a pretty brave thing to do.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I like, and do you have thoughts on a date when you might be doing these two-day breakthroughs, or is that to be announced?
Oh no, I've been doing them for the last few months, so it is available on my calendar. You can just book in a time with me, and we go from there. So I'm actually looking forward to doing one in person. I haven't been up doing many in-person things for obvious reasons of late. And I'm looking forward to doing an in-person version soon with somebody else in Perth who has found me. I'm like, hey, I know you do Zoom, but can we meet up? So I'm treating her. She's spending 2 days with me, and she's going to a beautiful little sanctuary for the night, and she's getting pampered with a massage after our first session. So, it's a bit of a rough one. And then she can feel, and then our following session, she'll be coming in with these beautiful vibes. And I actually have hairs on my arm right now sticking up, thinking how amazing this is, because it's one thing to do it on Zoom, but in person, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, so jump on board our sites, use your fingers, get to typing, learn a bit more what we can offer. And hey, if you're not sure, just ask.
And I'm looking at our clock and going, how is this possible? How did an hour go? And we just barely scratched the surface. It's like we could go and have a tea and then come back and do another hour and another hour. But unfortunately, it's time for us to wrap this hour up. And I really want to thank Jessica, for showing up and playing full on and bringing her divine gifts and talents and energy to for the last hour. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's like, it was just when Sarah reached out, I was just like, yes. Yeah. Thank you so much. You're both amazing. Beautiful, beautiful souls, both of you.
So I would just like to wrap us up, and I'll share that whatever you do, whatever you choose to do, whatever you're called to do it from a place of love.
Oh, so simple and so powerful, Neil. I love that. Jess, have you got any final words for us?
Oh, just, really go for what it is that you really want. Like, make your life a beautiful life, and just take action, just a little step of action towards the goals and dreams that you have, and go for it. Absolutely go for it.
Absolutely. And I'm going to add to that. If you're taking action and you trip and you fall, that's okay. That's part of the process. It's okay to make mistakes or to not get it right the first time. Think about that time when you learned how to walk, you needed some support. So from us to you, we trust that you reach out and find that support. And more importantly, well, just as importantly, go out and have uplifting conversations with people. Wonder how things will change for you when you do so. Until next time, we'll see you on another time. Bye-bye.